Hi everyone and welcome to Riverside Crafts. Today I'm going to be looking at rice papers and Mod Podge to create Christmas gifts. Rice paper is a really useful thing. You can cover all sorts with it. So I've done this little box here. So it's all decorated with rice paper. I've done jars, so it'll fit on, you can put it onto a jar. Glass dishes, coasters here I'm doing, which is what I'm going to show you how I did today. Rice paper comes in all sorts of colours. It's normally either in an A4 sheet or an A3 sheet. It is a very thin paper. I don't know if you can see, but it's got fibres in it, which makes it quite strong. If you're going to be putting it onto paper, it's best to have a torn edge because then it disappears. But for what I'm doing today, it has quite a definite edge on it, a coaster does. So I'm going to show you how I get that neat finish. So here's the finished article. As you can see, it's nice and glossy. We've got felt on the back so it doesn't scratch. And I've gilded the edge. And it's got a gloss finish, which I used... glossy accents, to be honest, because I was having a play to see what happened. And here's one with just as the Mod Podge finish, which gives you a nice finish as well. Okay, now there are lots of different Mod Podges, and when it comes to what you're doing, you want to get the one that's going to work for what you're looking at. So you can get them in mattes and glosses. You can get them for fabric, for outdoor use, for glittering and all sorts. The one I'm going to be using today is the one that says it's dishwasher safe. The reason I'm using that one is because I'm making coasters which could well and truly have water on, and because they have water on, then they are going to be able to be it seals it better. Everything that I'm going to be using, the little holder here comes with 6 coasters, and I got them from the shop this week, so that's all done there. All right, so I'm going to show you what I do first. First of all, I put a layer of gesso onto my wooden coaster. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want the actual paper, when it's finished, to be fairly bright. Oh, my brush has gone hard. There we go, that's it. And that will just give me a nice little finish off. So I've painted it and I've got it nice and white. The good thing about gesso is it dries very quickly, so you're not going to be waiting very long for your coaster to dry. I'm just going to quickly blast it with a heat gun. Brush. Now this is the paper that I chose this week. I got it from the shop this week when I was going in, so it's quite nice. And as I said, I'm using the Mod Podge that's dishwasher safe, mainly because I know that it's the coasters tend to get a bit wet, either because the glasses will get condensation on them or whatever. So I thought a waterproof one would be a good idea. So as you can see, I've put the glue over the coaster first, so that's that done. And now I'm going to sit this onto the glue. I'm going to sit this onto my coaster and place it where I want it to go. So that's that bit there. I'm just going to let it settle for a minute. And to cut round this is not necessarily that easy. So to get a perfect circle, so it actually looks really finished, I actually use a sanding block. And as you go round, you're just literally going slightly off the edge of the paper. And as you can see, it starts to just come away. Okay, so we're just going off the edge here nicely. My dog just decided he's going to bark at the front door for no reason. So I do apologise if you can hear him. He's having a woofing moment, as they would say. Now, as you can see, that's giving you a really nice, neat edge. It's not hanging over. You've not got anything on show. And you can really see the colours because we put the white Mod Podge, the white gesso behind to lift the colour slightly. Now I'm going to paint over again now with my gesso. Not gesso, Mod Podge, sorry, my brain's going now. And then that will give me, acts as my sealant, okay? So I'm just going over that. And I'm just going to go lightly around the edges so that the edges of the paper are in place as well. Just to make sure that I'm not got any, it's not going to peel up. Okay, so and then I'd leave that to dry. I'll just show you it again so you can see. So I put my glue onto my coaster. So that's in place now. I have my paper, which I'm going to put in as so. So I've got bits of the butterfly on this one, but more of the writing. So you can actually get 6 coasters out of an A4 sheet. So not quite enough to do the base, which is, but I used Gilding Flakes on the base to give it a slightly different finish. See, it's starting to come away. There we go. Put it off. Got a bit there that's not sanded through properly. There we go. Done. So there's another one ready. Put my glue over it again. Now I've done that bit. This is my box with my Gilding Flakes in. So I'll show you what I did next. Here's my Gilding Flakes. As you can probably see, actually on my coaster, I've got little bits of Gilding Flake that I've put in the top. So while this is tacky, what I've done is I've picked pieces of Gilding Flake up and I've just placed them in. So I've dabbed my hand in, got a couple of bits up and pressed it in place. I've been quite erratic about where it is, not sort of trying to get it all nice and neat and in one place or obviously positioned, just sort of a bit erratic, just to, I thought it would just give it a slightly different finish. So I've just put those on like so while the glue is still tacky. Okay, so I've put some bits on like so. Don't necessarily want large bits, just a couple of bits here and there. There we go, that one will do it. So that's my flake on that one. I'll just do this one while it's here. Just put a few little bits on it. A few bits over there. Okay. Put that one there. Okay. Like so. So that's now, they now can finish off their drying. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to prep this one to show you how I did the edge. Okay. I've used I use a glue that is a Stay Sticky glue. So this one is the Dawn Baby one. You can also get the Cosmic Shimmer one, and both at the moment are in the shop, so it's not a problem. You can take your choice, but basically what it means is it dries sticky. It doesn't dry and give you a nice smooth finish. It's actually tacky when it's finished, which means that you can then stick your glitter or your gilding flakes to it as you go along. So I'm just going around the edge quite happily here. Okay, getting this on. I find it spreads quite nicely with the using the size of the nozzle, gives it quite a good nice sort of in for me. Right, just take that out for a second, and I'm just gonna roll that now in my gilding flakes. Okay, I'm just going to press it down all the way around using my hand a minute. So I'm just putting some pressure in it to hold it in place. Now I have a scoochy sponge that I use to take off the excess, that would be a good word, wouldn't it, today, around the edges. If I find when I'm looking at it it's not covered, I just go back in and stick it down again. I can always add another layer of glue if I wish. So I leave that sort of to settle itself now, and let it just do its job, really. Okay, you don't have to gild the edges. I have another set here that I was working on, and I've used I've done a smooth gilt edge on this, and I used a pixie powder that's a gold to paint the edge to give me a nice smooth edge. Again, this one's finished with the glossy accents. You could use resin if you have resin. I don't, so it wasn't something I could do very easily at the moment. So, and then just to finish off I've put felt on the back, and I've put, this is, as you can see, this is all done with the Gilding Flakes, and that's so that it doesn't damage my furniture when I put it on it. So I've done, they'll look all like that, all stacked on top of each other. I'll show you how I do my felt and what glue I use, just while I'm sat here for a moment. When I'm doing my felt, I use my favourite bookbinding glue. I put quite a good layer going around the edge, concentrating on the edges of my coaster. Do a bit of a ziggy zag in the middle, but make sure I've got a good coat around the edges. Got my felt here. Okay, I'm just going to sit that in place there, put a bit of pressure on it and hold it there for a moment. And then I'm just going to use my scissors, take off the excess around the outside edge, and I'm literally just trimming around, using the top edge of my scissors as my guide around the edge of the wooden coaster. So that finishes off the base quite nicely. Take off any excess glue. Okay, so that's now ready for me to put on my gloss finish, which is here, which I'm just using glossy accents, mainly because it's what I had I had here, and I just squeeze that on and put it over the whole of my coaster. And then I have to remember to put it somewhere away from my fingers, and I mustn't put my hands on it and touch it for 24 hours. So I put it to the one side, let it dry overnight, and then it's sorted. Just make sure that you've got no major bubbles. If you have got bubbles in it, just add some, use a cocktail stick and just burst them, and they'll burst quite nicely. But this makes quite a nice finish for what you're doing. And it's nice to give somebody a handmade gift that looks like you've spent, it's professionally done, which when you've got your gilded edges and your gloss top on it, it does. But you can easily do this with resin if you have resin kits and bits. I just didn't have any in the, it's not something I do particularly, so I hadn't got any. Make sure I've got no major bubbles anywhere. Any dips. There we go. I wouldn't use a Crackle Glaze, mainly because, like I said earlier, with a drink that's either hot or cold, and if it drips, it will go in those the gaps in the crackle, and it doesn't look. It would probably start to look unsightly. So there's my, got my glossy on it to leave and sit down somewhere safe for an hour, for a few hours until tomorrow. So I'll just put that one out of the way so I don't put my fingers in it. All right, so look at this now. Should be ready to do my scooching on. Yeah. And that. Okay. Now you can see I've got a nice gilded edge on my coaster, so it's nicely finished off now on that, and that can just go to one edge now and wait to be finished. So there, that's how I've been doing my coasters for my as Christmas presents, and I've done the boxes in the same way. But the box has been finished off in exactly the same way, and that, I use a little bit of gilding wax around the tip of that. One of the other things that's really nice is because it is such a fibrous paper, it moulds around things really nicely. So it'll mould around your glass lovely, and your shape, so it doesn't have to be a flat shape. And as you can see the white fibres in here, and that. So it moulds around beautifully to do different places. These were just from the charity shop. I picked them up and then I thought, oh, I can put some Mod Podge on the back of them and rice paper and just liven them up. I did exactly the same technique for trimming it off. I just used my sanding block to go around the edges and it's had 3 coats of the dishwasher safe one, so that it can go, they can actually go to be washed up if I want to, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to do a little tag, because I've been doing these little Christmas tags for the last few weeks to just put stuff together. So I'm just going to show you a couple I've done, because you can actually use fabric as well. So this is another one that's been Mod Podged, and this one's actually got fabric on it which has been glued in place to make a Christmas tag. It was literally, it was just an offcut I'd got left over. So I'm just going to, I've got a piece of rice paper here. It's not quite wide enough, so I want to show you how I join it up and how I blend it off to be what it needs to do. So I'm just going to use this one, and I'm going to use the normal Mod Podge for this because it's a tag. This one is a matte finish, which is one I tend to use because if I want to stamp on it and do other things on top of it, then a matte finish gives me a better choice in that way. So if I'm using it to do sort of for my art journaling and I want to add things to it and bits, then I can. You can get plain rice paper, which looks very similar to mulberry paper, but it's slightly thinner, to stamp and decorate yourself if you would like. And bits, but it's a nice way of doing something and giving it a little bit of a difference. So that's going to sit just there like so. So I'll put that way. I'm just going to trim off my excess piece a second with my scissors, because I want to put my other bit on to match it up. And because this has got this line here, I'm just going to take this bit round and bring that in and butt it up to it, so that that looks like that's finishing it all off in one piece. So I was doing that quite nicely. A bit of sandpaper again. You can use this same technique with your normal papers if you want to make Christmas tags. It's just by sanding your edge, you get a much closer finish with your paper than what you're going to get if you try and cut it, even with a knife. And you don't risk taking off large amounts of whatever it is you're putting your paper onto. So if you're using grey board or MDF, you're not going to chop chunks out of it with like you would do, or you could do, with a knife. Right, we're getting there. I'll take those bits off like so. Now this tag has got a big hole in the middle, which makes it a little bit more awkward to sort out. So what I use is I've got some old files, but you could easily do it with an emery board if that's these are just something that I have laying around. But you could use an old nail file, it will do the same. It's just a rough edge that will give you an even finish off the paper without too much difficulty. It cuts through it quite nicely. So I'm just going to do that and take that round there in a minute. I'm just going to show you that you can do it as well. There we go. With a little bit of sandpaper around your finger, won't be just as easy. Oops, dropping things today. Hands are doing different things to what I want them to. Okay, and then that's nicely finished. Now, these look really good on a bottle of wine, because they'll just hang over the neck and stick out. So they're a really nice tag for a bottle of wine. We've got those in the shop as well at the moment. I went around looking for things to play with and to do and decorate for Christmas, and I came back with really nice coasters, a couple of boxes, these tags, because I just thought they were really pretty and a little bit different to give you something for Christmas to have a play with. So that's how I make my coasters. Hope you have fun and hope you get a chance to do your own this Christmas. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you again next week. Take care. Bye bye.